Hi there, my name is Andrei and you are watching Ori Technology. In today's video I will show you how to create a tool that allows you to depurge and clean your model in case if you need to send it to someone like clients or contractors. This tool would also allow you to select specific elements like views, sheets, legends or schedules which you want to keep. So first we will make a Dynamo script with a user interface that allows us to select these particular elements that we want to maintain. And then in the upcoming videos I will show you how to execute the same logic using different tools such as PyRevit, Python and VVF forms. The first thing which we need to do is to start with getting all of the available views, schedules, legends and sheets in the current project. So the good node is available in the Genius Loki package. It's called collector of views. I'm gonna create a group for that straight away. I'm gonna call it get all views, schedules, legends and sheets. Then we need to start gathering information about each of them so that we can isolate and select the elements which we don't want to delete. So let's start with creating a UI input for the user interface. So if we search for list view data from datashape package, as you can see, it asks for 2 inputs and everything else is provided by default, but we're gonna fill some of them shortly. So the first thing is we take the view and we connect it to the values. Now we also need to get each view name, because currently what we have is the view elements, and now we need to get these element names. That's why we're getting element.name node and we're connecting it to keys. So that way we are passing the views as the Revit object elements, and then we are passing the views Revit objects into the element.name, so we're acquiring an actual name to represent in our UI. Now let's just create a quick code block by double clicking, and here we would type down views to keep. Also put type down true and false. We would use it for some conditional values inputs. So connect views to keep to the input name, then true connect to sort items, and false to show ID because we don't want any ID. Also let's put down something like 150, and that's gonna be the height, so that we don't make the UI too big. Okay, let's group it and let's call it views list UI. Now we need to do the same for all other schedules, legends and sheets. So I'm just gonna copy and duplicate it once. Now we replace, instead of supplying views, we supply schedules this time. So to the element.name and to the values. And we rename this as well to schedules to keep, views to schedules. So we know that it's for the schedule one. Again, copy and paste. Now replace with legends. Same. Don't forget to rename it. And the final one is going to be for the sheets. So we take the sheets, connect it to element.name, take the sheets again, connect it to values. And now let's rename it sheets to keep and sheets list UI. Okay, so now we need to create a list of all of these 4 inputs. So to do that, we can use list.create node and just add a couple of more items and just connect all of the outputs of these UI inputs. Now we need to build a main UI of where all of these elements would actually be positioned. For this we could use the node which is called multiple input form from datashapes as well. As you can see, all we need to provide is inputs and everything else is given by default, but yeah, again we're gonna fill some of the information ourselves. So you take the list create output and connect it to inputs. This is gonna be our UI values. And if you create a new code block, and if you type down, yeah, don't forget to be not case sensitive, true, then 550, 180, let's put proceed as our confirmation button, and let's put cancel as our cancel button. So true would go to the toggle so that we activate this this node. 550 would go to the width optional, 180 to the label width, proceed to the bottom text, and cancel to the cancel button text. And okay, if we group it and call it main UI. So now I currently have an example project opened, and as you can see, I duplicated some of the views, created some of the sheets, and added some of the legends. So now if I press run, you could see our UI, which has all the views in the project, schedules, legends, and sheets. And let's say that we want to keep maybe, I don't know, 3D view. In the schedule, I want to keep, I don't know, planting schedule, one legend, and maybe, I don't know, title sheet. And let's click proceed. And as you can see, we currently have these 4 elements selected as separate lists. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna extract these values from this output form by simply typing down x square bracket 0, x square brackets 1, 2, and 3. So that way we get 4 elements out of one input. And now what we want to do, actually, let's also add it to this group. It's a good, nice feature in this Dynamo version when you can just insert the element into the group. Now we need to get the each of this item from the list of these items. So how are we gonna do that? First, let's get the node which is named index of, and we take the first one, which is x at 0, and connect it to element, and to the list we're gonna connect the list of all views which it was there. And if we press run, you could see it give us the number. So this is the number at which this current view is locating within this list. So you can see it is saying 23. And if we go here to 23, yep, you can see this is that axonometric view 3D which we selected, which is here. So now what we want to do is we want to remove that view from the list of all views, so that when we pass the rest of the views to the delete function or delete node, this particular view is not going to be deleted with them. To do that, we need to get node which is called remove item at index. And since this is the index, we connect it to indices, and to the list we again connect the view output. So if I run it again, you would see that on the index 23 it's going to be a different view already, because we just removed that axonometric view from the list. And as well, you can see that it's saying that there are 32 elements and it's finishing at 31, whereas here it's finishing at 32 with 33 elements. So okay, now we successfully removed that particular view from the total list of all views. So now we can group it and say remove selected views from the list. And we can copy and paste this a couple of times. So don't forget to replace the index. So now we're not looking for the views, we're looking for the schedules, I believe was the second one. Yeah, schedules. Yeah, connect it to the element, and now to the list, instead of view, connect schedule, connect it to list here. And if you hold Control and click on this again, it will allow you to take the same output and connect it to different node. So that way you don't need to go back and forth many times. And if we run again, you could see that this schedule was located at index 0. And as you can see, we removed it from the list. Let's just quickly check it here. So if we go to the schedules, yeah, you see, plants in schedule at index 0, and now it's removed. So let's just rename it as well. Remove selected schedules from the list. Copy it again, and let's do it for the, I believe it's legends now. Yeah, legends. List, and just rename it here. And the final one is for the sheets. Okay, so now we have the list of elements which we want to delete. So by doing these functions, we remove the one which we don't want to delete, but now the rest of them is what we want to delete before we start purging the project. So now what we need to do is, again, create a combined list of the elements and connect everything together. Now let's flatten it. So instead of having multiple lists, we have just one list. Also, let's clean it just in case if there are some issues or empty views, which does happen sometimes, but yeah, not too often, but let's just make it just in case. And the final note is going to be delete elements. I use the one from Genius Work as well, because this is the one which deletes only the elements which we supply without actually touching the affected elements. So I prefer to use this one. And what we do is we just connect this list to the element. So I'm not going to press run, otherwise it's just going to start deleting all of the stuff. So I'm just going to take it and group it and name it delete unselected elements. Now, so this part of the script is done. All what's left is to tell Revit to start purging the rest of the unused stuff after we finish deleting the views and schedules and sheets and everything. So to do that, again, I would use the Genius Work key package node, which is called Purge Unused. So I'm not going to use Purge Unused UI because this is similar to the one which native Revit Purge is using. I'm going to use the Purge Unused, which has the function to actually do the deep purge, which would remove a lot more unused elements in some way. But what we want to do now is to make sure that this function would not run until this function is finished. So to do that, I'm going to create a quick code block. I'm going to type square brackets x, comma, wait for, and put 0 in the square bracket as well. So that way, and again, I'm going to get a boolean as well here. I'm going to switch it to true and connect it to deeply. That's fine. But I'm not going to connect it to run it straight away. I'm going to connect it to X here. And I'm going to take the delete elements and I'm going to take this output of deleted indices to the wait for. I'm going to connect it to the wait for, which basically means that it would only pass through to run the purge only after we finish deleting elements here. So that way we wait until this function is done of deleting every element, every view, schedule, and everything else. And only then we start purging. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new group. I'm going to call it deep clean the model. And the script is pretty much done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save it, close it, and open it again so that we refresh the inputs. And if I just minimize it slightly, split the screen. Yeah. So if I run, you see our UI, which we saw last time. And let's say again, I want to, I don't know, keep these two views, maybe these two schedules, one legend, let's say, and maybe title sheet and maybe site plan. Yeah, that should be fine. And if we click proceed now, it should start deleting the rest of the elements first and then starting the purge process. And as you can see, we only kept the elements which we selected not to delete in this node. So if you can see, we said to keep West and 3D view, which is West and 3D. 2 schedules, how do I implement a schedule? Yes. Legend 1, which is that one, yes. And 2 sheets, site 1 and title sheet, as you can see here. Also, if we go to the purge unused, you can see that the number of items are equal to 0, which means that we successfully purged everything what we don't use in the current project. You might have noticed that it also deleted some of the elements from the sheet. So for example, I believe there was some renders and some other views which we're locating here. The reason for that is in this node, in this graph, we specified to delete views. However, we didn't specify to keep the views which are located on the sheets which we want to keep. You can adjust the script to make that as well. However, this lesson is not about that, it's just about showing of how you can do that. But yeah, it's definitely possible to make sure that if you are keeping some sheets, you definitely want to keep some of the, let's say, views or schedules which are located on those sheets. That's definitely possible. Just need to slightly readjust the script, but the principle stays the same. Okay, so I hope they like this video, and in the next sessions we would try to execute the same logic but using Python and VPF forms. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you.